This is Teresa Perkins, editor and host of Exposure, Spotlight Magazine, where your voice matters. And I am having a conversation with an incredibly special guest. He is currently running for election for the Section 1 Division D Judge of the Louisiana 19 Judicial District Court in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. He has over 28 years of experience in law. Ladies and gentlemen, help me to welcome my wonderful guest, none other than attorney Dele Adebamiji. Did I get that close?
Well, you close enough. I think I'll give you a B.
Look, great. How are you doing?
I am wonderfully well today.
Oh, that is wonderful.
And how are you doing?
I'm doing fine, and thank you so much for asking. It is a privilege and an honor to have you on our program today. So let us start with the interview. Can you tell us just exactly how did you get started in the law industry? What made you decide to even be a attorney?
Actually, when I was growing up and my father asked me that what do I want to become, I said I wanted to be a lawyer, but he wasn't happy. So he didn't like lawyers. So just to make him happy, I said, okay, I won't be a lawyer no more. I will be a priest.
Oh,
so
really?
He was very happy. So I went to college, but somehow I couldn't be a priest. So I ended up being a lawyer. So, I've always wanted to be a lawyer since I was a little kid. But because my father didn't like it, I have to deviate. But finally, I guess I went around and here I am. I'm now a lawyer because I love to help people. That's my, I think that's the closest thing to being a priest. I can be a lawyer and still help people. Priests help people. But yes. I can help them in a different dimension.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell us, where are you originally from?
Whenever I'm picking a jury, that's what they're all dying to know, the accent. And I always keep them in suspense. And then finally, when I'm going to sit down, they're like, but we want to know where you're from. I will always tell them I'm from Achafalaya. Everybody will burst out laughing. Some of them don't even know where Achafalaya is. Then I will tell them, look, I'm originally from Nigeria.
Okay. But you've been in Louisiana for quite some time, most of you years, huh?
Yeah, I think I moved to Louisiana in 1983. Oh. So it's fair to say that I spent 2/3 of my life in Louisiana. So no matter how you cut it, no matter how you partition it, I'm a Louisianian.
Yes, most definitely. Well, look, again, like I said, it is an honor to have you here. And I want to just talk about your race. You running for judge. Now, how did that decision come about?
Well, I've been nurturing that decision for quite a while. I've run before in about almost 20 years ago. But those times I just ran, just to have experience of running and just to see what it looks like. But this time, I had it planned out like about 5 years out, working towards it that I was going to run in that particular seat. But provided, because there were some issues involving that seat. So I didn't know for real if it was going to be possible or if it wasn't going to be possible. But I was just hoping that it happens. And through God's grace, it did. So here am I.
Well, that is great. Now, as an attorney, I want to ask you this. So you practice as a defense attorney, is that correct? Or?
That's correct. I practice as a defense attorney when it comes to criminal cases, because I do a lot of criminal cases. So I practice as defense attorney. And I also practice as a plaintiff attorney when it gets into the civil side of the cases, like a personal injury, workman's comp, or all other civil cases. Then I'll be a plaintiff attorney.
Okay. So now, let me ask you this. How many court in jury trials would you say that you have had, and what were, the results of that?
Well, I can't tell you that I know the number of jury cases I've handled, both in criminal and in civil, because I practice in all the state courts, and I also practice in the federal court. So as much as I'm doing cases in state court, I'm also doing them in federal court. So it's just impossible for me to right now to sit down and say this is how many jury cases I've had, but I've had quite a few of them. And like they always say, a lawyer who says he never lost any case before is just because he hasn't tried none. So,
so as an attorney, is there one case that you can say that has affected you the most?
Yeah, I have so many of them, but so it's so difficult for me to pick one. But if I will pick one, though, it's one that happened in around 1993 while I was working in legal aid. Normally people, when you say you're working in legal aid, they want to ask, are you a lawyer? Yeah, legal aid lawyers are lawyers. That's what I try to let them understand, that legal aid has some beautiful and nice lawyers that they can work. But there was a case, at that time, there was a federal law against those people who are on Section 8. If anybody comes to your house at that time and commits a crime, and if that person is arrested, the landlord has to evict you. So that law was allowing the housing authority to evict all these poor women and men who can afford to have homes. So I decided to challenge the law. So I filed a restraining order in federal court, and and everybody was like, "Are you crazy? How are you going to sue the federal government? You work for legal aid." But I didn't listen to them. But I went ahead and I filed the suit. And after I filed the suit, I started getting calls from New Orleans, calls from Chicago, calls from Philadelphia, calls from Boston, calls from all over the nation. They were so interested in that case because they didn't know how to handle that particular law. So I litigated that case, until we had a solution. So they didn't scrap the law, but what the housing authority decided to do was that instead of evicting those people, they will give them what we call a fair hearing to see if they have anything to do with the crime that was committed or not. And I thought that was a very good alternative rather than evicting them, because I felt very bad to see them being evicted in that amount of numbers. So that case stuck with me to the end of it. To say I work in legal aid and people calling me from all over the nation to see how this case is going and they liking the result, I think legal aid tried.
Well, look, we have a caller on the line as of right now, so we want to allow them to ask a question. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, and you may go ahead with your question for Attorney Dele.
Okay, well, good evening.
Good evening. How you doing?
I'm great. I have a question for you. Being that we have quite a diverse community in your district, what are your beliefs regarding alternative sentences for nonviolent offenders, juveniles, people experiencing homelessness, mental illness, or drug addiction?
Well, your question is kind of multifaceted, so which means I'm going to have to try to address them one after the another. Let's do juvenile first. In juvenile, I think the law in juvenile court is kind of well suited for the juvenile, because you can lock them up. Their life sentence like age 21. You have to release them no matter how bad the crime they commit. So I believe that juvenile law is kind of kind of where it should be, and I think they have some fantastic judges in the juvenile courts, and they're applying the law the way it should be applied. And I like the fact that they rose above being a judge. Sometimes they want to be parents to these kids. And then in the adult courts, in the alternative sentencing, well, not everybody should be put in jail. One glove doesn't fit all. But those who commit violent crimes, they're supposed to stay in jail. I have no pity for them. But those who commit non-violent crime, we shouldn't be locking them up. What we're doing is wasting taxpayers' dollars. We can ask them to go get a job. We can rehabilitate them and put them back in the society. And rather than just locking them up and then creating overcrowdedness in the jailhouse. And for mentally challenged people, that's very difficult for people to handle, especially in the courthouse. Our courtrooms are not. I don't believe our courtrooms are equipped to handle these people. But what I found out though is that I think Baton Rouge now has a center where mentally ill people can be sent to. What you have to do is just call them, even if you have any of your family member who has mental problem or is mentally challenged. You can call the center and the center will come there without the police. They will come there by themselves and they will pick him up and they will keep him for some days or for some time to see how it goes out or how it comes out. So I believe that those who are mentally challenged should not be put in jail because sometimes they can get killed in there because people won't know that they have mental problems. So they should be sent to the facility.
Okay, caller, did that answer your question?
That sufficed my answer because I was just concerned if all alternative measures were looked at as far as as rehabilitation, some type of social services being offered to people for nonviolent offenders.
Yeah.
Well, the nonviolent offender, we just got to find a way of sentencing them that it shouldn't. Not all of them should be going to jail. We should find a way of saying, okay. If you can get your life together within, you give them a certain period of time. If they don't do it, they lock themselves up. Okay, so you got to give them alternative ways, not just sending them to jail right away.
Well, thank you so much.
All right, and caller, thank you so much for calling. We greatly appreciate it, okay?
Y'all have a good evening.
Okay, you too. Thank you so much. All right. Yeah, I think that has been a major problem in this country or in this world today. Those that are mentally, challenged or what have you, that has caused, a great deal of crime. And then here you try to wonder what to exactly do with those people or what have you. And, then sometimes I'm wondering if some of them really are, have a mental, state of mind. And me personally, I feel that if they are brave enough to go and pick up a weapon, to go and do some things that is outrageous, then are they really mental? Do you really think?
Well, the way I see it is, I'm not talking about those kind of people. Now, if you say you mentally challenged and you pick up a gun and you shoot someone, well, they should put you in, they can tell you, they have facilities for those kind of people. They call them Jackson. They can take you to Jackson where they, depending on how they treat you. So the mentally challenged ones I'm more concerned about are those who are non-violent. Sometimes they will run away from home because they're not taking their medication. And they will misbehave outside, but they're not trying to kill anyone. But you can tell though when they're outside that something is wrong with them. And those kind of people, they need help. Some of them, if you keep them on their medication, I think they will do better. So those are the kind of ones, not the ones who kill someone and say they're mentally challenged. But if you kill someone or you shoot at someone and you say you're mentally challenged, I think the law should deal with you accordingly.
Yeah. Well, look, let me ask you this too. What are some of the biggest, or even if it's 1, 2, 3, or what happened, the changes that you think that is needed to make our justice system better?
Well, number one, which I've been advocating, is that we need to have alternative sentencing. Even though we say we have it, but I haven't seen it being used enough. Okay, if we can do that, if you look in the statistic, I think Louisiana ranks about first or second in the whole nation in incarcerating people. That's not a good record to have. So we need to do something to depopulate to decrease the population of people in jail. And then number two, the other thing I see in there is that which I think a lot of improvement is being made, is the relationship between the community and the police department in Baton Rouge. But the chief of police we have now, Chief Paul, he is a wonderful guy. He's been doing wonderful things. I think I've had the opportunity to be in a community meeting when they're talking about the 70805, trying to see how they can improve policing with the sheriff and the city police in there. So that is improving a whole lot. Those are a couple of things I see in there that is improving the relationship between the police and the community. Because if the police and the community are coexisting, if someone commits a crime in the community, they'll be able to push him out or tell the police, say, that's the one.
Yeah, I tell you, but the crime rate has increased tremendously. He's doing a great job, but at the same time, it just has increased tremendously. We can say definitely, in the East Baton Rouge Parish, but really all over the United States, it has. So we definitely need some major changes when it comes to that.
Yeah, but also, a judge is not, when you say you are a judge, I don't think a judge should be limited in the courtroom alone. If you're a judge, you need to serve your community too that elected you into office. You need to be able to go into their town hall meeting. You need to be able to sit them down and talk to them and say how you can lower the crime rate in your community. We just can't say police alone, and we don't do our own part. Mm-hmm. We need, as parents, we need to do our own part, and then as citizens, we need to do our own part also. We just can't leave it for the police alone. So that's why I believe that community involvement also may help or will help in decreasing all those criminal activities we have in Baton Rouge.
Yeah. So tell me this: how would you deal with the injustice when you're confronted in the courtroom?
Well, sometimes anybody, whenever they lose a case, they believe it's injustice. Okay, but it's not true that because you lose a case, it's injustice. But for me, what I've always said and what I've always believed is faith is my number one thing in my life. And if I follow my faith, it says, "Thou shalt not pervert justice." If a rich man deserves to get the justice, you give it to him. If a poor man deserves to get the justice, you give it to him. You just can't say because, oh, he's a poor man, this rich man is trying to get over. No, just give whoever justice, whoever deserves the justice, just give it to him. Mine is just, I'm going to try to be as fair as I can in every situation that I might come into.
Well, look, you're giving some great answers there. I think you sound like you're ready for that position, huh?
Yes, ma'am. I think I'm ready for that. 28 years of practice and mingling with all the people in the community. Yes, I think I'm ready for it.
Great. Well, look, we have another caller on the line. Caller, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, and you have a question for Attorney Dele?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Given your experience being an attorney and the length of time that you spent with the judicial system, what change do you look to bring to the court system as a judge?
Good question.
Well, as a judge, really, for me, I think this might be an internal issue, but they have something they call the commissioners in the courthouse. For me, I think those commissioners are not being used to their potential. Okay, I think there are more the commissioners can do to alleviate the loads the judges are carrying in the courthouse. So if I were there, I'm going to suggest some ways which I believe the commissioners can be used. And then also, the other thing I'm going to bring to the bench is, I'm going to keep saying it as a broken record, is alternative sentencing. Because alternative sentencing will help the courthouse, it will help the community, and it will also help the people. because it's you taxpayers, it's your money when they lock people up in the jailhouse. They can use some of that money going into the jailhouse. They can use it for education. So instead of, and also, you know, if you, another thing I want to help to do is that, you know, I want to make sure that when you're sentencing people, you know, you hold them accountable, because if you can decrease the crime rate in the city, businesses will thrive. More businesses would like to come here, because no business want to come to a town that before you open up, they burglarize your store, they broke down your store. You want a city, you know, that is calm. So those are the kind of things I want to help to bring into on the bench.
Okay.
Great. Caller, you have another question for it?
Well, yeah, when you say alternative sentencing, would there be a difference between certain crimes, or would that just be applicable to every crime? Like,
You know, as I've always advocated, violent offenders, I don't have sympathy for them. Let me put it that way. When I say I don't have sympathy for them, what I mean is that if you commit a violent crime, I think you need to be in jail. I don't think you need to be out there, because if you have a propensity for killing people, raping people, hijacking them, then you need to stay in jail. But if we get those non-violent people out of the jail, then you will have enough room in the jail for those who are violent offenders. So, you know, just like you have somebody who's a drug addict and you say, well, I give you a chance to clean up and you're still on drug, I'm going to send you to 3 years in jail. If you send him or her to jail 3 years, when he or she comes out, she's still a drug addict, because you haven't done nothing. All you do is just put him in jail. After 2 or 3 years, when he or she comes out, maybe after a week, she's going to go right back there. But instead of putting those kind of people in jail, you can send him to a rehab. You can send him to counseling. You know, for me, I think drug addiction is a disease. So you don't treat disease by sending someone to jail and you overpopulate the jail. But you can send them to rehab and let them, you know, have counseling, treatment. Now, those are the kind of people that you can take out of the jail and don't send him to jail. But violent crime offenders, no, they should stay in jail.
I love that answer. I totally agree. And I thank you so much for your answer. And you have my support.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. You heard that, Attorney Dele. She said you have her support.
That's why I say thank you.
Thank you. Y'all have a good one.
Okay, you too. And thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So and I'm not sure, but allow me to ask you this, and you may have, you know, touch bases on this. So let's say, someone, how about a drug dealer? If we should use that. How do you feel in reference to someone who has, you know, been caught with some drugs, selling it or what have you, or got busted for it? I mean, do you feel that that person as well should be sentenced for a phenomenal amount of years?
Well, you know, one thing is that our law has specific punishment for people concerning each law. You know, the law is like, if you do this is the amount of year you can get, and this is the amount of year you can get. If you do this is the amount of year the judge can give you, or the judge can do that. You know, and most of the time, some drug dealers, depending on the amount of drug they have, some of them are put on probation, you know, for the first time. If they're first-time offender, they put them on probation. But those who, some judges say, you know, for me, I think in those kind of situations, judges' discretion should come in too. You know, it's just like if you are caught with drugs and you're caught with a gun, you know, that can change the way I will sentence you, because that will tell me something different if you have a gun on you. But if it's just drug alone, that would be a different issue also. So most of the time, it depends on what kind of drug you have. If you have a boatload of drugs, that's a different issue entirely. So the situation is depends on what happens.
Or if they had like millions of drugs, cocaine and heroin, you feel different about it.
Well, a drug is drug to me.
Right.
You know, I won't feel any way less about cocaine or marijuana. But mine is that, you know, let's say you have like about 50 pounds of marijuana. I know you dealing, I know you selling. So, you know, but the law is changing now as regards to marijuana. So, but if you have cocaine and all those drugs that kill people, you know, those are difficult, you know, because you sooner or later you're bound to kill someone. Yeah. So concern has to be on that particular issue.
Right. Well, you know, Attorney Dele, I asked that question because, you know, I have learned of some people who's been in prison for a long time just for selling, you know, like you say, drugs is drugs, whether it's marijuana or cocaine. And I have seen some people be in prison for a very long time for that than those that actually killed someone.
Well, I think it happens, but I think it happens more in federal court than it does in state courts, because the federal court has their own sentencing, and the way the federal courts have their sentencing, you know, the way they have it set up, it's so difficult sometimes that you wonder why the sentencing is like that. But the state sentencing is not as it's not as bad as the federal court sentencing. So if you're seeing people having like 50 years, 60 years, and you may have some of those in the state too, but mostly you have that from the federal court, not the state.
Okay, let me ask you this. How would you work, or would I say you won this position as a judge to ensure quality or equality for people of all backgrounds in your courtroom? How would you ensure equality?
Well, you know, I've been out there for 28 years, and believe me, honestly, I think I've worked with Black, white, Mexican. I've worked with all races, so that will not be new to me. You know, like some people will say I have an open door policy. Even if I say I have an open door policy, the courthouse may say you lock that door until somebody knock on it. But the only thing I can do is that I will make sure that my staff treat everybody with respect. You know, everyone deserves respect, because you can't undermine someone because of their stature or because of their race or because of their gender. So for me, what I will do is I will make sure that you know, everybody is respected in the courtroom. And if you need help, if it's something we can do for you, we will absolutely do it for you.
Okay, so like you said, who's been practicing law for 28 years or so, would you say that you have seen any type of unfairness to those, you know, in different ethnic backgrounds?
Well, you know, it's a catch-22 question, okay? Because unfairness depends on how we define it. You know, some people might say, well, you know, they sentenced me. I think my sentence is too long. I think I should have gotten this sentence. But sometimes it depends on what each person has done. You know, so it's so difficult that you can equate one for the other, because every facts are different. So everybody has to be treated according to the facts pertaining to their case.
So, and I know I asked this earlier about changes that you would make in the justice system, but tell me this. Well, you know what? Before I get to that question, we have another caller. So we're going to allow the caller to ask you a question. So caller, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, and you have a question for Attorney Dele?
Yes, good evening, host Perkins.
All right, good evening to you, and thank you so much for calling in. We greatly appreciate it.
All right, thanks for having me. Good evening, Attorney Dele.
Good evening. How you doing?
I'm pretty good. So I had a few questions for you. So
You heard
Black woman who was born and raised in the 19th District and is a proud product of the 19th District. I look around and I see the collateral consequences of the school-to-prison pipeline and mass incarceration in our community. I'm tired of politicians that just offer lip service and they fail to deliver after Election Day. So I've learned to ask some tough questions, Attorney Dele. Is it okay if I ask you a few tough questions?
You can go ahead. I'll do my best.
Thank you. So what is your personal experience with pro bono work?
My personal experience in what? Can you repeat that?
With pro bono work.
Oh, pro bono work. Oh. My wife always tells me that I will never get rich because of the pro bono work I do. Like I was saying in the beginning, I wanted to be a priest before. So pro bono is not, it's not really anything too big for me. And you have to remember too, I worked in legal aid for 5 years in the beginning of my career. So it really introduced me to the to pro bono work. I think, every lawyer should be mandated to handle a couple of pro bono, not a couple, maybe at least 10 pro bono cases per year. I'm just saying mine now. I don't know what they're going to say, but I think every lawyer should be mandated. It shouldn't be, it shouldn't be, do I want to do it or not? I think every lawyer should. Pro bono job is very rewarding for me. I don't know about anybody else. And I've met people, a whole lot of people, by doing pro bono work. So I love doing pro bono work. Let me put it that way. So, yeah. You need to try it if you're a lawyer. I think you will find it that it's very rewarding. Especially when you go out and you meet people and they tell you, you did my divorce for me, and when my husband almost killed me, and you're like, okay, well.
Oh, wow.
So I enjoy it. I enjoy doing pro bono work.
All right. So thank you for answering that question. So you passed that question. It's not a test, though. It's not a test. So, do you believe that all citizens have access to legal assistance in the legal system? Like, do you think that they have adequate access?
Well, I believe all citizens should have access to, to the courthouse or to the legal system. But, sometimes challenge of money might not let some people go into the courthouse because they don't have the money to litigate the case. We all know what it is now. Even for you to file a suit in 19 JDC, you have to look into your pocket and make sure you got some money in there to file suit. And before, you can always file suit by filing a pauper form. But nowadays, those pauper forms are being scrutinized to the teeth because, the courthouse too, it got to survive with money. They got to pay their employees. They got to keep the lights on. They got to buy ink. So, we have some legal aid. We still have a legal aid in Baton Rouge. But, all those ones too, they have to screen how many people they can take. And you have to make certain amount of money before they can take up your case. And, and private lawyers, very, very few of them going to take pro bono because they got to feed their family too. And they got to pay bills too. So sometimes, money can be an hindrance in getting justice. Somehow, I think, we just got to find a way to make it accessible to everyone.
That was my third question. So you're acing it. So that was my third question because, we have a lot of people in our community who have legal issues, but they can't afford to get good representation. And so how do we as a community increase access to good legal representation for people from fragile communities who can't afford it?
Well, the way we can increase it is, if the Bar Association is will mandate more lawyers to handle more pro bono cases, maybe that will help, But you can't, I don't know if the Bar Association can force them, say you must have you must have 10 pro bono cases a year. Because if you're a fresh lawyer that just got out of college, you want to pay back your student loan. So doing pro bono is going to take away time from you, because you're still fighting. You want to get your feet wet. So legal aid is not as big as it used to be, because now they cut down because of lack of funds, and so it's a challenging issue. I can't tell you that I have a solution for that.
Okay, you've answered all of my tough questions. Is there anything else you think I should know about you before I go to the poll?
Well, what you should know about me before you go to vote is that I'm a man of faith. That's my number. That's my driving force. My faith drives me, and you should know from me too that I don't believe in picking sides. If things go up, if I have to tell you the truth, I'm going to tell you the truth. I don't believe in lying to you so I can get your favor. No, the worst you can do is don't greet me, but I will call it the way it is. And I'm honest, and I have integrity, and even though I'll be tough on crime, but yet I'll be nice and fair to people.
Awesome.
Thank you. Sounds great.
Yeah, is that all for you, caller? Yes, some real good questions there. Some real good questions. Yeah, you did. And thank you so much for calling in. We greatly appreciate it. And you have a great day. And be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, okay? Exposure Spotlight Magazine, all right?
All right, thank you.
Thank you. All right, look, Attorney Dele, look, you did a great job answering a lot of these questions. So this is going to be my last question that I want to ask you.
Now you're beginning to sound like a lawyer. My last question.
So tell us this. Why should everyone vote for Attorney Dele Adebamiji?
Well, you did good. Well, the reason I'm asking people to vote for me is that, number one, I have the experience, and my experience is not limited to one section of the law alone. I'm very diverse. I've handled divorces, I've handled custody, I've handled child support, I've handled criminal cases in federal court, in state court. I've done wills, I've done succession, I've done bankruptcy. You name it, I've done most of them. And that gave me the experience, and it gives me the ability to get to meet people and to know people. And also, if you talk about pro bono, yeah, I've done pro bono cases. I still do pro bono cases up to now, because that's it's a joy to me to see that I'm trying to help people out, because when they greet me on the street, it makes me happy to know that I've helped them. So and I also believe that if you vote for me, I'll be fair. I'll be tough on crime, but I'll still be fair to those who do not need to go to jail. And so if you vote for me, you'll be voting for someone who has experience, someone who is fair, but at the same time firm. And then if you vote for me, I promise that I'll be in the community, and all those killings we have in our neighborhood, I will be one of those to champion those causes, so we can stem those kind of senseless killing we have in the community. Oh, great! And what is that ballot numbers? Is it 72? Ballot, that's my new name now, number 72. Number 72. So everyone, yes, you heard that. You want to go to the polls and vote for Attorney Dele Adebamiji. Yes. So he is running for the 19th Judicial District Court Judge for Division D, as in David. We'll say that, as in Dele, better yet. Dele. Yeah, D for Dele. So D as in Dele, you guys. So go to the polls and you vote on November 3rd. And also they're having early voting October 16th. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so excuse me on that, everyone. So early voting is October 16th. So, but if you don't get to vote early, please go to the polls on November 3rd. All right. And don't forget to vote for ballot number 72, Attorney Dele Adebamiji. Yes.
You're getting better.
Like the more I say it, the better I get. It sounds
Yes,
better.
ma'am.
I don't know if I'm getting it right, but it definitely sounds better. Well, look, it was a great honor and a privilege to have you here on today on Exposure Spotlight Magazine Talk Show, because your voice, it matters. And thank you so much. You have a great day.
Thank you. You have a good day too.
All right. Bye-bye.
And bye-bye.